Often we get questions about how to succeed. How do we get better in all the things we do? And specifically, how do we get better in terms of our health? You know, it's interesting that oftentimes we don't have problems and we don't have difficulty succeeding because we don't want to succeed or because we don't have a desire. But we often have trouble because we don't have a plan and we don't have clear goals. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight on this show. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, y'all, new year, new you. I'm talking specifically to people who have type 2 diabetes, adults who want to put their diabetes in remission, who want to get off of diabetes medications, who want to reverse their diabetes. And that's what we've been spending our time over the last several months talking about, and tonight is no exception. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to give you a hand clap and to welcome you with some music. And to let you know that I am so excited that you are here with us tonight as we go through the show. If you do have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat because we want to get to them. We want to answer those questions and let you know that we are interested in what you're doing. And like we do, y'all, as we go through the show, I've got some numbers that we're going to take a look at. I've got my meter that's setting off here to the side. You'll see those there. I've got my reports, and we'll take a look at all of that as we get into the show tonight. So welcome, all of you who are out there. Glad that you are taking some time to just kind of hang out with us here as we go through the show. It looks like I'm having a little bit of a delay, actually, if you guys see that. But anyway, we'll keep going. Well, welcome. Over the last several months, we've been talking about putting our diabetes in remission, about reversing our diabetes, and tonight we're going to just continue that process as we discuss how do we set healthy goals. What is the process for doing that? And how do we go about doing it? And so we're going to talk specifically about how do we set SMART goals. SMART goals are the things that we're going to be using. As I mentioned at the top of the show, it's uncommon for people to just fail because they want to. Right? Now, there are times when, because of circumstances, we've decided that we're not going to do that. But for the most part, if you have a desire, if you have an idea, if you want to succeed in something, often the reason that thing does not come to fruition, the reason it doesn't succeed, is not because you don't have a desire. Because we've all got desires. Like, I want to lose weight. I want to get better blood sugar. I want to make some money. Right? I want to have a bigger house. I want to have a better job. I want to marry a prince, right? So all of those are dreams. They are desires that we have. But a desire, a dream without a plan remains a dream. And so our goal has to be to put a context into that desire, into that dream, put some form to that dream so that it can be successful. And we're going to talk about that here tonight. So let's just hop over into that. So we're going to talk about SMART goals, right? So SMART goals. SMART goals are, they serve as guideposts. What is a SMART goal? A SMART goal, and we'll kind of go through the acronym, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That's what SMART stands for. It's an acronym. And they serve kind of as the guidepost for the things that we're going to do. They allow us to know whether we have a clear idea of what we want to do, whether we have a clear path for measuring what we want to do. Is this something that's even achievable? And not just is it achievable, is it relevant to the things that I want to do? Or is it relevant to what I'm going to do? And then is there a time frame within which I'm going to work on getting that done, right? So SMART, that's what the SMART acronym stands for. And like I said, they serve as guideposts. They help us to stay focused. If we don't have those guideposts, sometimes we can get derailed, right? And they help us to stay motivated, because when we achieve them, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. And you know, as you face challenges, as you face perhaps disappointments, as you face opportunities that come along the way, the SMART goal helps us to remain where we need to be. Okay? So that's what SMART stands for. So let's hop over. Let's go ahead and just kind of walk through these. So specific. So we want our goals to be specific. What does that mean? Your goal should be clear and well-defined. You want to avoid vague generalities and vague statements. Like, I want to be rich. While it is a great idea, it might be a great dream, but it's not specific enough. What does rich mean? What does rich mean to you? Rich may have a different idea that to me than it does to you. And so what is your definition of rich? Now, there are some general definitions of different things. Like, I want to be rich. I want to be healthy. I want to be I want to be influential, right? So there are certain basic ideas that we have as a community, as a society, have kind of generally said this is what that means. And so if you're shooting for one of those, great. But if it's something that is personal, then it's got to be specific. And as we're coming up with the specific idea, right, we want to flesh that out and be specific. The question is, we want to use the whys, right? So when we talked about whys at the beginning of the year, coming up with your why you want to do something, the whys actually come back in here in terms of being specific, right? Ask yourself the whys. And the first why is, what do you want to accomplish? What is it really that you are setting out to do? And why is it important? Who is involved with it? What resources do I need to bring to bear? Where will this happen? Which resources or constraints do I need to be mindful of? And what resources are relevant? So we're going to ask those whys, because as we're coming up with this specific idea, right? I want to lose weight, not necessarily specific enough, right? That's well, I shouldn't say specific enough. It is not specific, right? So how do we move from this vague idea to a space where, okay, this is now something that we can do, right? Instead of, I want to get in shape, right? I want to lose 5 pounds. I just want to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to begin exercising. I want to begin exercising 30 minutes a day. So be specific, right? So as we're talking about, okay, how do we set these goals? We want to make sure that we are specific in them, right? So specific. So the S stands for the S stands for specific. Measurable. Your goal should be able to be measured, right? So not just specific, but can we measure it? Are there specific criteria to measure whether you are achieving it? Remember, we said this is going to serve as a guidepost. And if you have a guidepost, you've got to be able to know, okay, did I meet that guidepost? Right? When you've accomplished it, did I get there? How are you going to know if it's not measurable? So I want to be rich, right? It's not very specific, but I want to make $1 million. Okay, that's pretty specific. And you can measure that. So if you look in your bank account and you don't have $1 million, guess what? We're not there. Right? So losing 10 pounds is a measurable goal, because I can get on the scale, and I could track it. Today, I'm down 1 pound. Tomorrow, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds. And after a while, okay, I've achieved what I want to be, where I want to be. Is it measurable? Specific, measurable. And then we want to know, is it achievable? Your goal should be achievable. It should be realistic. Well, let me back up. Because I just heard someone yelling at the screen. No, we want to shoot for the stars. And yes, we do want to shoot for the stars. We want you to aim for the highest place that you can go. Okay? That's what we want. So I tell my son, I said, shoot for the stars, right? Be the best, be the highest, be wherever you, right? So that's what we want to do. But as we're coming up with these goals, these achievable goals, is it something that's achievable? If you've never jogged before, setting a goal of running a marathon in a month, probably not achievable within that period of time. Now, there are some of you out there that, yeah, you can do that. But generally speaking, probably not something that we can do, right? I want to bench press 500 pounds. If you've never lifted any weights in the next week, probably not achievable, right? Unless you're Popeye and you popping those, remember what Popeye was eating the spinach, right? So you can probably do that if that's the case, right? So it might be unrealistic if you're trying to do that, right? When it's essential to aim high, right? Setting unrealistic goals can lead to frustration and discouragement. Let me say it again, frustration and discouragement. So as you're coming up with, okay, what am I going to do? What am I trying to achieve, right? Is it something that's achievable? Saying, okay, I'm going to go to the moon tomorrow, right? Is it something that's possible? It's certainly possible, but is it achievable? Unlikely. I'm not going to say not achievable, but it's unlikely, right? So start with a more achievable goal, like, okay, instead of I'm going to run a marathon in a month, okay, I'm going to run a 5K. How about this? Okay, I'm going to walk a mile. Okay, let's start there. So is it achievable? So specific, measurable, is it achievable? And relevant, right? Is it relevant? What does that mean? That means that it has to be within the sphere of the thing that you want. If you are planning to, if you're planning to lose weight, then getting a certification in engineering, while that's lofty and while that's great, doesn't really help you with this particular thing, right? So is the pursuit, is the thing that you're doing relevant to the desire that we want, the goal that we want, right? So your goal should be relevant and meaningful to you. It should align with your interests, with your passions, with your current circumstances. Avoid setting goals simply because other people expect you to be in that space, right? So you want to make sure that the goals are relevant to your specific thing that you're trying to do. And then is it time bound? Is it time bound? Now going back to the goal of running a marathon. Now, if I set a goal that I'm going to run a marathon and I give enough time, then certainly that is achievable. It's relevant, perhaps to my health journey. It's measurable, and it's specific. But the time-bound piece has to be you have to give enough time. So your goal should have a clear time frame or a deadline. Okay, I'm going to be rich. Okay. There's no measure of when that's happening. There's no time element to it. This creates what? It creates a sense of urgency, and it prevents you from just kind of waxing and waning, right? And just kind of hanging out. Because there are some things that I said I was going to do that I haven't done because I didn't put a time to it. It avoids procrastination. It establishes a set of parameters that allows you to know, okay, am I making good progress? If the thing that I want to do is next month and it's, a couple of days before it's supposed to be due, guess what? Hey, I may need to get on it. Right? It's kind of like that paper that you have to do or that project in school. You want to make sure that you are doing all the things that you need to do to be able to achieve it. Okay? So is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? And is it time bound? So we want to create SMART goals. Once again, we don't fail We don't have difficulty succeeding because we don't have a dream, we don't have a desire, we don't have aspirations, because we've got those, but we don't succeed often because we don't have a plan, we don't have a goal, right? And the plan part is a whole another component of this, but first let's set the goal. Let's come up with something that is measurable, that's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay, so when we talk about health, and we've been talking about health, that's where we are, right? When we talk about health, there are numerous things that people within their health framework are interested in. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the common struggles that people face. And some of the most common struggles that people face, particularly as in this arena, right? We're talking about blood sugars and diabetes and metabolic disease and so forth. One of the most common struggles that people have is the struggle for blood sugar management. I can't tell you the number of people that come into the office that say to me, "Hey, this is just frustrating, right? I don't understand what's going on with my blood sugar. I don't know why it does what it does. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's anything that I could do that will put this blood sugar where I want it to be," right? So people kind of have that frustration as they talk about blood sugars, and it is a very common one, right? Also, weight management, right? If you're out there and you have struggled with weight, just put a yes in the comments. I'll put my hand up. Okay, and we've talked about that as we moved through New Year, New You. It's a huge one. In fact, many of the things that we do in the process of New Year, New You on the show, as we talk about the various topics, there's a component of weight in there because we want to see that weight improve as well. So when we talk about weight management, okay, that's another one. Nutritional challenges. Right, so blood pressure, and I'm going now based in order, right? For people who are diabetic, adults with diabetes, who are interested in reversing their body, this is it right here. Blood sugar management. What do I do? My weight. They say I need to lose weight. How do I get that done? Nutritional challenges. Hey, we spent a lot of time here on the show, in a lot of our episodes, talking about creating a meal plan, creating or eat the types of things that we eat. Consistent exercise. Consistent exercise, right? That's a big one. How do we maintain this place that we said that we are going to be in? How do we continue doing the things that we say we're going to do in terms of exercising? Because guess what? Life happens. How about medication management, right? Many people say, "Hey, I struggle trying to take my medicine." And what's our goal, by the way, right? So I tell people, hey, if you struggle with medicine, particularly as we talk about diabetes, right? I'm not going to get into some of the other medications that people are on out there, but when we're talking about diabetes medicines, how do we make sure that we don't have to struggle with diabetes medication? How about not being on diabetes medication, right? Because that's one of our goals. That's one of our goals. How do we get rid of as much medication as we can and remain healthy? How about emotional eating? That's huge. You remember we talked about the heat model, right? We talked about the heat model. We talked about this guy right here. These are some of the things that happen, right? So the emotional, a big part of that, a big component of that is emotional, right? How about social pressures? Social pressures. I went out with some folks this past weekend. Took my wife, took my mother-in-law out, and so we're sitting around the table, and of course, I had different plans of what I was going to eat, and right, social pressure. How do you handle all that stuff? And then there are financial constraints. We talked a bit about access several weeks ago as we were talking through the heat model, right? Access. Right? Sometimes people don't have access to certain types of foods. We say, hey, you need to eat healthy. You need to eat less carbs. You need to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. Guess what? Often, people don't have a car. They can't get there. They live in a food desert. All those different types of things. They're financial constraints. How about healthcare access? We just talked about a little bit about that. And then mental health struggles. So if you are depressed, right, then guess what? That emotional eating that you see there, that becomes a big issue. Because the depression pushes through, y'all, the decisions that we make about food. That's why that model is so important, because if we don't get a handle on some of those things that are in the HEAT model, then it's difficult to even think about blood sugars. So it's a huge, huge issue. So common struggles, those are some of the common struggles. And so let's go ahead through, and now I want to kind of walk through a couple of things with you in terms of what we do in setting up or creating SMART goals, right? So kind of setting up SMART goals. So let's talk a little bit about blood sugar management. Blood sugar management. So if I set a blood sugar goal, and let me pop back over here briefly. So I want better blood sugars. Now, as we talk through this particular one, I want you to understand what our ultimate goal is, right? So our goal here on the show, New Year, New You, is we're talking about reversing diabetes. We're talking about getting off of medication. We're talking about improving metabolic syndrome and all those components, right? But if we're talking about specifically about blood sugar management, right? Before you get off the medication, or even after you get off the medication, right? Because that's one of the things that people struggle with. So they're off medication, so they don't have the backup of the medication to treat the blood sugar. So how do we manage that? Right? So, hey, I want to get better blood sugars. That's kind of general. So how do we make that a little bit more specific? Well, a smart idea there is managing fasting blood sugars, getting them to be between 80 and 130, and having an A1C below 6.5. So one is, I need to improve my blood sugar. Great idea, great thought, great dream, great desire, but it's not specific. Having blood sugars, I want blood sugars between 80 and 130 in the morning, and I want an A1C below 6.5. That now is a very specific idea. Now, let me back up a second, and let's go back to let's go back and let's talk about this list. I guess one thought first is, how do I decide, like, which of those things, which of the goals, which of the desires, which of the dreams is the one I should tackle first? Right? That's a great idea. That's a great question. How do I decide which one of those that I should go for? And it depends on your circumstance. Depends on your circumstance. So as I talk to people in the office, I talk to patients and I talk to clients, everybody wants to lose 60 pounds by June. Everybody wants to get off of medicine tomorrow. Everybody wants to reverse their heart disease in a month. Right? So that's it, because everybody has that desire. And those are all very lofty. They're very admirable. But as you're looking at the things that are on your list, right? Part of it is really sitting down and deciding and coming up with, okay, where do I need to be? What are the things that are most critical in my life? What are the things that are causing me the most health issues? If you've had a heart attack, if you've had a stroke, if you have kidney disease, and your doctor says to you, hey, this is from your blood sugar, then the very first thing that we've got to do is get the blood sugars better. I want you to listen to me. If the things that are going on in your health right now are due to blood sugar, then getting the blood sugar better is the thing that you need to be working on. Now, in the process of getting the blood sugar better, does that mean that next week we're going to call you reversing your diabetes? The answer is no, because there may be some things that you've got to do right now to get that blood sugar down while you work on the other things that we've talked about. Which is why, if you remember, we had a show where we talked about how long should I fast? And there were various levels of fasting that I gave based on where you were. So if you come into the office today and you say, hey, my doctor says that next week I've got to have this surgery and they can't do the surgery because my blood sugars are too high. Can we get my blood sugar down? Yes, we can. We've got a lot of different ways to get the blood sugar down. If it's next week, we can fast you from now until next week. Guess what? The blood sugars are going to be down. We can get you on some medication that brings the blood sugar down by next week. We get the blood sugar down. So your specific situation depends, what you work on for us depends on where you are, okay? So as we're going through, I don't want you to think that we're jumping to a particular thing because that's the one that you need to work on. We've got to figure out, okay, where's your pain point? Where's your health issue? And then based on that, then we decide, okay, what do we need to do? For the most part, however, a lot of the disease processes that are out there, a lot of the things that you struggle with have to do with blood sugar. That's why managing diabetes, reversing diabetes is so critical, because it touches so many areas of your life in terms of your health. Okay? All right. So back to our example. So blood sugar. We want to manage blood sugar. So we want to improve our blood sugar. So not that I want better numbers. I want better blood sugars. Not specific enough. You've got to say, okay, where do I want those numbers to be? And in particular, as we're talking about diabetes, a very important one is the A1C. Because remember, the A1C is a marker of what the blood sugars are. So I want blood sugars to be between these ranges, and I want my A1C to be a certain place. So that's specific. Is it measurable? Yes, it is measurable, because you can at home, like we've talked about here, you can at home be looking at blood sugars based on either your meters, right? Either meters, or you can look at blood sugars based on your continuous monitor, right? Which we have, right? So you'll see, I think it's over here somewhere, right there. Not that way, right here. Okay, so we can look at blood sugars. So you have a way of measuring it. And then when you go to the office, you have the A1C that your doctor will order on your blood work. Okay, remember we have a show that's going to be coming up soon where we're talking about those numbers that we're watching, those measurable numbers, A1C, your kidney function, your liver function, your cholesterol, all those things. So there's a show coming up, so keep an eye out for that one. But is it measurable? Is it achievable? Right? Is the next piece of it. Is it achievable? Is it achievable for you to get an A1C less than 6.5? Yes, it is. Can you get blood sugars between 80 and 130? Yes, you can. And if you're one of my patients, you know that we tell you that we want your blood sugar specifically to be between 100 and 120, right? So it falls within that range that you have, that I'm talking about. So specific numbers. Right? So you can follow a personalized meal plan, exercise regularly, and take your prescription medication as directed. So it is achievable. And notice I did not put in there fasting, because I don't want everybody to think that the only thing you can do is fast. No, it's not. It is a huge tool. It is an amazing tool. But there are other things that we do as we are managing blood sugars. Right? It is the thing that we are promoting, that we do on a regular basis, that we've seen amazing results from, that you've seen amazing results from, right? And you've heard it as you've come on the show. But coming up with a plan. Remember, as we talked about at the beginning of the year, Our goal was to work our way to fast for one day a week, 1 24-hour period. So is it achievable? Is it relevant, y'all? Right? So relevant, right? Is it related to what we want to do? So improving blood sugar, getting better control, reduces the risk of diabetes-related complications. And what are those diabetes-related complications? They are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, coronary artery disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome, obesity, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, on and on and on and on and on. So is it relevant to what we want to be? What we want to do? Yes, it is. And then is it time bound? Well, you want to aim to achieve and maintain target blood sugars within the next 6 months. Now, if you're one of my patients, you know our timeline, right? So every 3 months you get that A1C, and every 3 months I'm expecting to see progression, improvement. So you got 3 months. And you've got the monitor, you got the meter. Okay, let's put those together and let's begin moving in that direction. So SMART. So it's specific, measurable, is it achievable, is it relevant, and is it time bound? Okay, so we want to make sure that we are moving in that direction. And just want to do a quick shout out here, Teresa. Hey, Teresa. She says, hi, Dr. Woode and everyone. Glad that you are here, Teresa, to hang out with us. So we're talking about setting health goals. How do we set health goals? We've just gone through the SMART acronym: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay. All right. So the other one that people kind of struggle with is this idea of weight. So weight management. So we could say as part of as our goal, I want to lose weight. And it is a good dream. It's a good ambition. It's a good desire, but it is not a goal. It's not a SMART goal. I shouldn't say it's not a goal. It is not a SMART goal. It is a goal. So I want to lose weight. Great. But it's not a SMART goal. And remember, when we're talking about SMART, we're talking about specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So how do we make that into a SMART goal? Well, number one, let's put a number to it. Let's put a number to the goal. So not that I want to lose weight, but I want to lose a specific amount of weight. If you remember, when we set our goal, we talked a little bit about this. When I set my goal last year, the goal was to lose 52 pounds within the year. 52 pounds within the year. That was, well, let me back up. The goal was a half a pound to 1 pound per week. Right. So I didn't say, so notice I had to come back and reframe that, right? Because 52 pounds in a year, okay, right. And we'll talk a little bit about being a little bit more condensed in your thought. Well, actually, this is a great place to do that. So when you're setting goals, we want to set some immediate goals and we want to set some long-term goals. So in this case, my long-term goal would have been, hey, I want to lose 52 pounds in a year. Okay, so it's specific because 52 pounds. It's measurable. I can get on the scale and I can see if I'm there. Is it achievable? Certainly it is within the year. Is it relevant? Yes, because losing weight helps with my health and my diabetes. And is it time bound? Yes, because I got 52 weeks. Okay, so that's great. So that's a great SMART goal. But here's the thing. If I wait until a year to begin looking at measuring, marking, making adjustments, then that's not good either. So what we want to do is that SMART goal that we've set, the 52 pounds in a year, we want to come back and say, okay, what do I need to do in a month? Well, in a week, in a month, in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, so on and so forth, right? So we're chunking that goal into smaller parts. And so that's what I started to say. So our goal, we tell people, yes, 52 pounds in a year, but don't think about the 52 pounds. What are we going to do this week? And so my goal, and what I talk to clients, what I talk to patients about, is we want you to lose between a half a pound and 1 pound per week. That is reasonable. That is sustainable. That, because remember, we're not just losing the weight. We want to be learning as well. How do we keep that weight off? So if you lose 10 pounds this week, you haven't learned how to do that. You haven't learned how to keep that off. Sometimes we don't even know what we did. But as we're losing gradually, that is sustainable and that is a healthy weight loss. Okay, so back to our thought. So I want to lose 10 pounds. Great, I love that. In this example, that's where we are. Now, as you look at your weight, as you look at your situation, you may need to lose less or lose more. So a healthy, normal BMI is 25. A healthy, normal BMI is 25. Now, here's the thing. You may be way off from that. Your BMI, in fact, let me see. I'm going to pull up. I don't know if this will let me do it, but we're going to try. What I'm trying to pull up, y'all, is I'm trying to pull up my Fitbit, not my Fitbit, but my Fit Index. Pull up my Fit Index and go back. See if it'll let me go back a year. I want to get back to March. No, it won't let me do that. Okay. Okay, but I can show this to you. Let me do this. Okay, here we are. That'll work. Okay, so so this was back December of this past year, December of 2023. All right, and so that was on the 5th. Well, let's see, go back here. Let's see. Yeah, so on the 1st of December 2023, my weight was 215, BMI was 30.9, so almost 31. What I was trying to do was I was trying to go back even further, because what I was interested in showing you was back here when my weight was 260, what my BMI would have been. And I can't do that on this, but let's see. Let's see if we can grab a BMI calculator. Calculate your BMI. Okay, we can go to the, okay, here it is. Let me share this one. And you guys have seen these things before, right? So this is the National Institute of Health. And so let's put in my height. So I'm 5 feet, 10 inches. And my weight back then was 260. Okay, so BMI is 37. All right, so BMI of 37. And so my height still is the same. My inches are still the same. And the last time we weighed, we were 190, I think. And let's compute that. So that puts a BMI of 27. So as we're looking at making adjustments to our weight, there are lots of different ways that we can use to track that. Right? We can use BMI, and I love talking BMI, right? Because for women, for each BMI point that you drop, it's about 5 pounds, and for men, it's about 6 pounds. So it's easier sometimes people to think about, okay, if my BMI changed, okay, that's 5 pounds. And sometimes people, for some reason, and I'm putting myself in that same category, by the way, sometimes we don't like talking about the actual number, the weight, right? So sometimes having that BMI is an easy way to think about it. Okay, so let's get back over here. So when we talk about weight, let me pull back up my. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So losing 10 pounds, and your situation may be different. Can we track it? Yes, we can track it. We can get on the scale. And you notice it says there track weekly. I've gotten to the place where the number that I see on that scale informs me, but it doesn't stress me anymore. Often people can't get on the scale because the number causes them distress. And that's a whole nother conversation for us to have. It is a tool. It is a way of informing you of where you are. It doesn't mean anything about you personally. Now, I say this, y'all, not because I'm saying it flippantly, because at one point that number caused me distress. So I get it. But what we want to do is we want to work so that it becomes just a way of informing us. Okay, so track it. Yeah, can we track it? Okay, is it achievable? Yes, it is achievable if we've set the right number and we're going to set the right time. So you're losing 100 pounds in the next week. Certainly possible. Is it probable? Probably not. All right, so if we follow a caloric controlled diet and engage in regular physical activity, we can create a sustainable calorie deficit. Hey, wait a minute. What's a great way of creating a calorie deficit, y'all? That's sustainable, that's easy, that's free. Let's call fasting, isn't it? I know. I had to throw that in there. Okay. Is it relevant? Yes, because losing weight improves our insulin sensitivity and our blood sugar control. Remember the 3 pillars: decrease insulin, suppress the appetite, get rid of sugar. That's the pillar. Those are the pillars. And weight helps with that. And then time bound. Time bound. Is it time bound? I want to lose this weight, 10 pounds, within the next 6 months. Is that doable? Yes. Is there a time? Yes, there is. Now, I would venture, let's see, so if you lose half a pound a week, that's 20 weeks. Yeah, right? Yeah, that's 20 weeks. Half a pound a week. That gets us there. So 3 times 4 is 12 weeks. Okay, sure. And so I tell people, don't think really about the 10 pounds. Your question is, how do I lose my half a pound this week? How do I lose my half a pound for this week? And people right now, you might be out there saying, oh, 10 pounds, that's nothing. Well, hey, you guys remember? Hold on a second. I'm knocking things over back there. Let's see. How about, let's do this one. Okay, there we are. So let me move these guys over. And let's put this here. That right there, y'all, that is 10 pounds. So half of that. Look at my hands, right? So to give you an idea, let me see if I can do this. Okay. Oh, that's not a good thing. So here's my cell phone. Okay. So that's 10 pounds. So when people say, oh, I only lost 10 pounds, I'm like, wow, you lost 2 of this, right? Yeah, so this is 5 pounds. So losing 2 of this would be 10 pounds. This is equivalent to maybe a pant size, a couple of pant size guys, ladies, right? Maybe a dress or 2 sizes. Yeah. Okay. So don't knock when you say you've lost 10 pounds or you want to lose 10 pounds. Don't think, hey, that's nothing. That's a lot. And to say I want to lose this in 6 months, oh yeah, let's do it. So my goal for you is that sustainable weight loss that you can get. Sustainable. That's the key. Because we don't want to go through that roller coaster. Right? Awesome. All right. And then so that's our weight management. That's the weight management. So as we are talking about creating those sustainable weight loss, we got to have SMART goals, y'all. Because if we don't have SMART goals, then we don't get where we need to be. Okay? So is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? And is it time bound? That's how we do it. So for you, what you want to do is you want to figure out, well, what of the things that are going on in my life, what are the things that I need to do health-wise to set myself up for success? That is where we've got to start. And then once you've achieved those, like I gave this list, right? So where is that list that I gave you a minute ago? Let's back up. We're just going to pop back. Yeah. Remember this list? So these are common struggles that people have. Your struggle may be on that list, but it may not. It may be something totally different in your specific health case, your specific health scenario. But wherever you are, you've got to sit down. Okay, what do I need to do to be healthy? And then let's set some SMART goals for that. As we talk about, I'll share here in a minute, when we have our community meetup this month, that would be a great time to come through and say, help me figure out some of these health goals. Help me figure out, okay, what do I need to do? And perhaps let's get together and let's start putting together a SMART goal based on your situation. Okay, that's what the community is for. This is how we do it. Okay, let's see. I see perhaps a question out there. Let's see. So, all right. So we've got some more folks who popped in. So Steve says hello. Teresa, hey Steve, thanks for coming through, man. Teresa says hi to Steve. Teresa said, "Oh wow, that looks bad." I think you're talking about the model. Is that right, Teresa? Yeah, it's a big deal. So I'll tell you, and let me tell a little bit about myself, because I know what this looks like. I sometimes can imagine, like if my weight fluctuates, and we'll talk a little bit about that at another show. If my weight fluctuates, I say to myself, man, I know I cannot put on 5 pounds. Because I know this is what it is. Maybe I can put on, 2 or 2.5, 3 pounds, but I can't put on 5. Because that's what it is right there. Okay. All right. So Teresa said, wow. So Teresa says, doctor, any advice? I have decided to get off of glipizide and to try Jardiance. Good question. I'm going to hold on to that one here for a minute, Teresa. And she's saying yes, because I'm assuming that you were talking about the fat model. Okay. All right. So Jardiance and glipizide. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. So you remember when we did our show back in January, I believe, one of the shows we did was what medications should you consider getting off and what medication should you consider getting on. So let's talk about the getting off medications first. And the reason for wanting to get off of some medications was because those medications were medications that make your body produce insulin. If you remember. So the 3 pillars: decrease insulin, decrease appetite, and decrease carbs. So any medication that has with it the effect of producing more insulin in my body, that's a medication I want to consider getting off. Okay? So any medication. That includes the sulfonylureas like glipizide. So glipizide, glyburide, and glimepiride are the 3. I mean, there's some other ones out there if you're in a different country. That includes the DPP-4s. And I'm not going to go through all the names of them. Well, I can go to scientific. The sitagliptins, the alogliptin, the saxagliptin. That way I don't have to say the brand name. Okay. But hey, no. So that's your Jardiance, not Jardiance, just Januvia, your Tradjenta, your Orsini, and all those things, right? So those are the DPP-4s. That also includes, y'all, the GLPs. So things like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Trulicity, Victoza. So all of those have with them the effect of producing insulin in your body. Right? So we're going to come to talk about the GLPs in just a minute. So any medication that has the effect of producing insulin or giving you insulin, those are medications, those are the first ones that I want to get off of. So that would, in your case, Teresa, include glipizide. Right? So you want to make sure you're talking to your healthcare provider and go through that process with them. That's why you always hear me say to patients, if you're one of my patients, if you're one of my clients, or here on the show, the first thing I try to get off of is insulin. Because decrease insulin, number 1 pillar. Number 2 pillar is suppress the appetite. And this is where, and the show that we did, medications you should get on. Well, I just told you that all the GLPs also produce insulin in your body, or it makes your body produce insulin if it can. Well, why would I want to get on one of those? Well, because one of the side effects of the GLPs is suppressing the appetite, right? Which is the 2nd pillar. So the appetite suppressant or the appetite suppression often outweighs the side effect of the insulin, right? So you got to make a call there. So I want to get off of this medication. I want to maybe think about getting this other medication. Well, why would I get on a medication that also produces insulin? Because the side effect of the benefit of that medication outweighs the side effect, right? And it's a judgment call. So if I had a choice between SU and the GLP, I'm going for the GLP because first I get rid of the insulin production by the SU, and I have the appetite suppression from the GLP. And then finally, to the other medication you asked about, Teresa, was Jardiance. And remember, the 3rd pillar of our plan to reverse diabetes is to get rid of sugar. So decrease insulin, suppress the appetite, get rid of sugar. So GLP, not GLPs, but SGLTs, which is Jardiance, one of them, what they do is they take sugar and they put it in urine. So they're getting rid of sugar. So if I had to make a decision between, hey, I want to do a medication that produces insulin or one that gets rid of sugar, well, I'm going to do the one that gets rid of sugar. And once again, in this discussion, make sure you are talking to your healthcare provider. But that's the idea behind the way that we talk about medication. What should we get on? What should we get off? And so forth. The other thing is that Jardiance and the SGLT2s, including Farxiga, are now, there are so many other benefits to them. Like there's heart protection, there's kidney protection, and so on and so forth, right? So I'm not going to lump them all together because they're specific things, but there are additional benefits to the SGLT2s. That's what that group is called. And Teresa says, my cardiologist took me off of my BP meds and we are negotiating removal of some other medications. Steve says, awesome. Yeah, love that. Love that, Teresa. And then she said, Teresa, she said, Doctor, you are freezing up on YouTube. Yeah, Teresa, I know we were kind of sticking a little bit, so I'm hoping that that gets better. Um, yeah, there's something that I was doing right before, and I think it kind of got the computer in a weird state, and so what I need to start doing is rebooting right before I go live. Okay, so I hope you can still see me right now. Okay, all right. So let's see. If you have any other questions, go ahead and pop those in. But this is a great place for. Let me come over here for a second. It's a great place for us to take a look at my monitors. Let me put this model down. And let's pop over because we want to take a look at our reports. So let's go ahead and get over there. And let's do this one. I always like when I do this one. Okay. So here's my blood sugar, and there are a couple of places that I want to show you some things that went on this weekend. And you'll see there that my average blood sugar was 107, and that's for the last 14 days. If I pop over here and I change this to 90 days, you'll see that my average blood sugar is 114. And I'm in target 94% of the time. That's a range of 70 to 180. My estimated A1C, which is the glucose management indicator, is 6.0, keeping in what we're trying to maintain. And we're going to actually get a blood sugars again here, or A1C here in another maybe a month or so. I may get it early, actually. So if I look at my daily graph, there are a couple of things I want to show you in terms of blood sugar and some things that were going on over the past couple of days. So if you remember, we ended our fast right here about 6 o'clock on Friday, and my blood sugar was 63. And then as I ate, it climbed, got up to a little bit above 100, so 107. And then into the next day, kind of stayed in the hundreds, 105s, right? And then for lunch, so this weekend was graduation here in town, yes. And so I went to lunch, and I ate. Oh, where's my list? So we had some tofu. We had some tofu. We had salad. Those are all the good things. Those are all the great things, right? And then we decided we're going to have some key lime pie. So we went from 124 up to about 204. And then we started coming back down. And then Teresa and Jennifer, if you guys are, Steve, if you're out there. So from 214, we started coming back down. And we got down right at about 172. And then we popped up again, and we got up to 217. That was 223. That was some blood. That was some almonds that I ate right there. Okay. Teresa says YouTube is really freaking out. And then yesterday in the 140s, 140s, went out to lunch with the family, my mother-in-law, and so we ate. We went to an Indian place and got up to about 180, and then started coming back down. And then today we've been in the 100s to low 100s. Right here is where I had to change my meter, and then right now I'm in the low 100s. Okay. And so I apologize for any of the. Teresa says that YouTube is not enjoying what we're doing right now. So, so let's do this. This is a great place for us to do our thought of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that over, and let's do that right now. All right. And our thought of the day is this. It is that you have the ability to regulate and make decisions for yourself. You have the ability to regulate and make decisions for yourself. One of the amazing things that allows us to be adults is the fact that we get to make decisions and we get to live with the benefits and we also get to live with the consequences. Right? That's an adult. You make a choice, you live with the benefits, you live with the consequences. One of the reasons that my son right now is with us, he is not an adult, and we get to direct him usually in some of the things that he does and some of the things he has to do and not do. Okay? But here in a few years, those things now become suggestions because he becomes an adult. And just like him, when you're an adult, because we're talking to adults with type 2 diabetes, you get to make decisions and you live with the benefits and live with the consequences. What does that mean? That means in everything that you do, you want to set yourself up for success. You may not know what to do. You may be confused, you may be frustrated, you may be angry, but you set yourself up for success by gathering around you the resources that you need to go in the direction you want to go. That's why it's so important to set goals. It's so important to set SMART goals. Goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Because as you go through that process, you are evaluating where you want to be, and you're bringing to bear all the resources that are required to get you there successfully. As you're setting the specific goal, why do I want to do this? Who's involved with this? What resources do I need to achieve this? Is it measurable? What things do I need to put in place so that I can know if I'm making good progress? Is it achievable? Is it something that can be done within the space of time that I'm going to give? Is it relevant to what I'm doing? Does it set me in the right direction? And is it time bound? Have I set a time limit within which I'm going to achieve this? So you, as an adult, have the ability to regulate and manage and make choices to get you in the direction and in the place of success. So that today is our thought for today. All right, y'all. Thought for today. Now, one thought that I want to give, right, as we kind of end the discussion on SMART goals. As I started, I said that SMART goals are a kind of signpost. They let us know if we're moving in with a good pace. They let us know when we've achieved the relevant things that we need. But they also let us know if we're moving in the right direction. Because there are opportunities that are going to come your way. There are things that are going to come to you and that you're going to have to make a decision. No, I can't do that because that does not put me in the direction I want to go. Your friend is going to say to you, hey, let's go to the buffet. And you're going to have to say, I don't know that that is helping me in the right direction. Hey, let's go buy a chocolate cake. Hey, let's go do this. Hey, let's go do that. That's great. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And that those places have great food. But I don't know that that's where I want to go. I don't know that that's the place I want to be. So when you have SMART goals, you can make decisions that help you avoid things that you shouldn't be involved in. That's the beauty of a SMART goal. I love it. I love it. Love it. All right, y'all. So let's talk a little bit about our platform, and let's talk a little bit about where we are. So first, I want to kind of review. Well, let me not do that. Let me go and let's talk about where we are. So our platform, right? So educate, empower, and encourage. Educate, empower, and encourage. That's what we do here on the channel. We educate because we've got to change our mindset. We've got to set ourselves up for success. All the shows that we do, the podcasts, the blogs, all of that is with the intention of providing education. Number two, we empower by providing tools. The things that we learn are tools. For example, we just learned how to create SMART goals. That is a tool that you can now use as part of the process to become healthy. And then we encourage by creating a community. And this community is a beautiful community that we are building. I love the interaction that you guys have. You know, Teresa and Steve and Jennifer, who's not on tonight, but all of you are part of the community that we love to see here. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. One of the tools that we've learned is the HEAT model. These are the things that push us in a direction to break our fast, to get off of our meal plan, to do things and eat things other than what we say we're going to eat. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. Those are all things there. So habits, we get in the habit of eating something at a particular time, at a particular event. The emotions, we're angry, we're mad, we're sad, we're glad, we're tired, we're bored. All of those things push us in directions of eating. Access, just because it's there, y'all. And then taste, because we want to create or recreate, want to remember a space where we were before. So that's the HEAT model. And then our call to action, number one, join the challenges. All the things that we're doing, don't just come and let this be, hey, this is something that we heard and it's sitting on the shelf. We walk through the challenges. So January, our challenge was to come up with your why. I mean, we talked about the 5 whys, well, 6 whys, 5 whys. In February, it was to begin fasting for 24-hour once a week. In March, it was to figure out which of the triggers is the one that you succumb to the most. In April, it was to, April actually was to create a meal. So let me go back and, so it was create a meal. And then of course, May was to mentor someone, to find someone that you are going to mentor, someone that's you're going to bring along with you, that you are going to be integrally a part of getting them to begin moving in the new year, new you process, right? Mentoring someone in new year, new you. That's your goal for this month. Not someone that you talk to and you tell about this stuff and then you leave them alone and then 5 months later you come back. No, 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 no. This is someone that you are talking to on a continual, consistent basis, that you are teaching them, that you may be watching some of the videos with. Maybe you get together with your family, with your friends. Okay, the challenges are there, right? So that's number 2. So join the challenges. Number 2, share your story. When you come on, let us know where you are. Let us know where you are. If you're fasting, we want to hear that. If you're having some troubles with fasting, we want to hear that. Just like Teresa says, hey, I'm talking to my doctor about changing medication. Love it. Because when people hear your story, they know they can be successful. And when they see your challenges, they know they're not by themselves. And we can rally around each other in those challenges, in those spaces, to be successful. And then invite a friend, y'all. Invite someone. There are over 1 billion people on the planet right now, at this moment, who suffer from diabetes and pre-diabetes. You can be the voice of change in your community, in your family. There are lots of families where there are generations of people that have died because of complications about diabetes or heart disease or strokes or other things. You can be the one that says, hey, we're not going out like that. Our family is going to change. We're changing the dynamic of our family. So invite someone, send them the link. Say to them, hey, let's go watch this show together. And that falls right in line with our challenge for this month, which is to find someone to mentor. Right? Love it, love it, love it. Love that you guys are here. So Steve says, YouTube working and fine in Atlanta. And Teresa says, okay, Steve, somehow it connected to my TV. Ah, okay. All right. I'm glad that you were able to figure that out, Teresa. Well, y'all, hey, another show in the books. And as always, I'm glad to be here. Glad to have you as part of the community. Glad to have you here sharing this space with me. I'm glad to be here with you as I move along this path together. As I say always, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We are creating the life we've always wanted. And in this year, y'all, new year, new you. Good night. We'll see you at our check-in coming up on Wednesday night. And then again on our show next Monday at 7 p.m. Central, right here on the channel. Good night.